Carlos Nelson with Cascade Sports, and today we have a special guest have come home, Mr. Ed Corporal. He had in the past, my relationship with him, he was the athletic director for the Kansas City School District. How you doing, Ed?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure having you here. Tell our audience a little bit about yourself. You know, after you left Kansas City, the next thing I see, you were in Maryland, and you've been. I was like, I thought he was from KCK or or Kansas City, Missouri, and then I saw your daughter. She was playing sports because we stay up on. I'm the Scroll King on Facebook, and next thing I know, you were back here. But as we do with all our athletes and coaches, go back to kindergarten to talk about how you got into athletics. And I know that you coach semi-pro and some other things. Give our audience a snapshot of who Ed Corporal is.
Well, I'm from Kansas City, Kansas. I'm a product of the Kansas City, Kansas school system. From kindergarten all the way up to high school, went to Schlegel High School, played there. And
what position did you play?
I was guard, point guard, shooting guard. So nowadays it would be called a combo guard. Mm-hmm. But I like to shoot the ball because I can shoot it.
Tell our audience what years you played.
Graduate 81, so I from Schlegel High School, so I was from 79 to 81 at Schlegel High.
Make any noise over there? Talk about you could play.
Yeah, I made some noise. You know, Coach Terry was a little younger than me. You know, he was a couple years younger than me. But yeah, I made some noise. Like back in that time, we didn't have like freshmen. So the freshmen, it was only like 10th, 11th, 12th graders. Mm-hmm. So I was like the first 10th grader to ever to make varsity, and so that was a big deal at that time. So like now, kids take that kind of for granted. But I remember coming up I went to Arrowhead Junior High School in Kansas City, Kansas. And all I could remember was like I would go to the Schlegel High School games and watch them play against like Wyandotte and Washington because it was like packed. It'd be packed on Friday nights.
Tell our audience a little bit about that because Cascade, we've really been a lot of Missouri and what have you, but I know some of the history of the Dot and them with Lucius Allen and some of the players, and you obviously was playing in the era when they was on top.
Yeah, well, Kansas basketball, especially in Kansas School District, was like the top in the state. I mean, every team was good. I mean, Washington was good. Wyandotte was like the epitome of high school basketball, especially in Kansas, because they were like the UCLA of high school basketball. And, you know, they were always at state. In fact, it's a little quick story. I remember I should have been a Bulldog because going into my sophomore year, Coach Suspensky was the coach at Wyandotte, and he had been talking to me like I really wanted to go to Wyandotte really bad. I wanted to play there because that's where everybody went. Lucius Allen and all the state championships, and I just wanted to play in the pit. You know, I mean, it was Wyandotte was that's where I wanted to be.
That's the name of their gym, the pit.
That's what I used to call it, the pit, because it was like you was like in a hole, you know. And I remember like playing, I was like, dang, this court is long, you know. And then the crowd just sit on top of you. So I just remember like going into my 10th grade year, I wanted to go to Wyandotte really, really bad. I mean, that's all I wanted to do. And I you know, so I got in trouble with my dad. And my dad said, look, you know what, you're gonna go to Schlegel. Whatever you can do with Wyandotte, you can do with Schlegel. And I remember, till this day, I remember crying and stuff because I wanted to be a Bulldog so bad. I wanted to wear that. They had the coolest warm-ups, you know, with the state on the back, Wyandotte, and had the little Kansas City on the back and everything. I just wanted to be part of that because, like, all my coaches coming up through junior high and high, you know, junior high, and the greatest, I guess, Bulldog that coached there was Walt Schublum. And he was like my mentor. Like he kind of raised me a little bit. He was the coach at Kansas Community College, and he allowed me to do his camps, allowed me to work with the college team up there. And all my coaches, like in junior high, were all Wyandotte grads. So that's all you grew up and talking about being a Bulldog. So when I had to go to Schlager, I wasn't too happy about it. But I ended up going to Schlager, and I had a good career, there. I went out and, made the JV, started JV, suited up and played varsity. And so I had a good career. My junior year and senior years were good years, So we had a new coach come in my very first year, and then he left after my sophomore year. And so I had a new coach that came in, and which was really kind of tough, because now I got to reprove myself. And then he ended up being there for a while. But I mean, as far as like the history of KCK basketball, every night was not a night off. I mean, the worst team back then was Ward High School, and they still was good, because they had some big dudes on their team, But I mean, and the thing I liked about KCK, because we all knew each other, so it was like bragging rights
from the hood.
Yeah, so you didn't want to lose because you got to see those same people on the playground. That's when we used to play on the playground too, in the off season and stuff. So, but
there was no air conditioning gyms and no personal trainers in high school.
No, the personal trainers was the playground, getting out there on the playground, playing on the blacktop and stuff and everything.
And hate to have a butcher playing against you.
Oh yeah, especially like they guys that's the two. Guys played physical back then. It wasn't like no soft touch fouls and stuff, And you wanted to play against guys older than you and better than you, and they would beat you up. Cause I remember being my first year at Schlager, Von Tabb was a star in the KCK league. He was kind of like Larry Drew. He played just like Larry Drew was his idol. He played just like him, quick, lightning quick. I remember every day in practice I would come on with a bruised eye or something. I didn't got hit, but I never backed down though. I never bitched about it, nothing. I just played, and it made me good. I mean, it made me better by the time I had to play against. Yeah, when I played against other JV guys, I was like, shit, I used to kill them.
So who recruited you out of high school?
Well, I had like numerous offers. Well, my brother played in the NBA, and Otis Burson, he played with the Kansas City Kings. So
I had my season tickets, 2 of them in the gold section.
So I had a lot of NAIA schools. I had some small NCAA schools, but I really wanted to go to North Carolina. All right, and I had connections with Carolina, Phil Ford, and all of them. So that's where I wanted to go, or University of Houston. But my brother did not like North Carolina because he got cut by Dean Smith. So he used to always tell me like, you don't want to go to Carolina. You go to Carolina. Just go JUCO. Go JUCO. You only gotta go 1 year. And then you go play somewhere else. So I went my first year. I went to Florida. I went to University of Florida Southern, and then down in Lakeland, Florida. And I kind of got homesick, came back, and then went to JUCO, KCK, and played with Coach Mo over here, and then I left and went to Pittsburgh State. And played.
All right, tell. I always go there when y'all go to JUCO, talking to these youngsters that they think that they come right out of high school and they go to Division I. That does happen, but most of these Division I players, they went to JUCO, and most of them might not have been ready for college, the academic work, or the social life, being by yourself. And JUCO does helps you get adjusted to the college life.
Yeah, for some players, it's good. I just felt like, looking back, hindsight now, I wish I would have went on and took that road and just went to a 4-year school.
4 year?
Yeah, just from the very beginning. It's just not because at that time you don't really think about after you get through playing. Because sometimes I talk to my wife about this all the time. I said, if I went to Carolina, you never know what my life would have took, because I could have been coaching there right now, because it's a fraternity.
See, I didn't even realize that. I was talking to Coach Moore yesterday about some individuals that went to KU, and what I have learned since I've been in those big universities, when you leave, from a business standpoint, they try to look out for
They
their
do.
players
They do.
to make sure
They do.
that they don't fall on no type of financial hard times.
So-
And they have that network.
Yeah, so I mean, I've been fortunate to be at Kansas now. I was, I worked on an unofficial basis with Coach Self for 10 years with the program, and I see that. I'm part of the
Right.
I'm in there now, so I'm one of them now. But you're right. They look out at each other. It's a fraternity, and that's how it was at Carolina. So they all take care of each other. So like I remember Coach Self preaches this. Also, Coach Smith always talks about this all the time. Like, you always take care of each other. Whether once you leave basketball, we're still a family. We still going to look out after each other, like whether it's business or it's a brotherhood.
Mm-hmm.
And I see that a lot. Up at Kansas, at KU, that's what it is. Like we look out at
Tell
each
our
other.
audience a little bit what you were doing up in with Self.
Well, I was
What your responsibilities
I
were.
was on the support staff. I did a lot of his summer stuff, his camps and stuff and everything, working with the kids up there. Also working with the players, like in player development, making sure they doing the right thing, going to class and, just mentoring them.
Right.
And it was really like my first class was my first real class was with Joe Embiid and Frank Mason, Devontae Graham and Wayne Selden and all those guys, Andrew Wiggins.
Mhm.
That was my first class. So
Wiggins had a little game.
Oh yeah, I remember the first time he walked on campus. The first time we saw him play, we was like all looked at each other like, cause he was different.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
You could tell. You're like, he's a pro. I'm like, he's different. He ain't no just college kid. I can see why he was number one, high school recruit.
Mm-hmm.
So you knew he was gonna be good. Now Joe Embiid was I knew he would be good, but not like he is. Because you could tell, because he had good footwork. He had good. He had some good. He had potential, and plus he was 7 foot.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember telling Joe, like, he was always say, Coach, I love KU. I was like, I'm gonna be here all 4 years. I was like, nah, man, you might be here 2 years, but you ain't gonna be here 4.
You like one and done almost. Yeah.
But I didn't think he would do as well he did as his first year at KU. So he just took off, and to see what he's doing now, I knew he was gonna be a good player, but not this good like he is.
So, what are you doing now?
Well, right now I just finished. I'm coaching professional basketball in the Development League, the TBL.
Talk to him about that league a little bit, because I'm not even familiar per se.
Okay, the basketball league is like the third level from the NBA. So you have the NBA, you have the G League, which is under the NBA umbrella, and then you have the TBL. And so it's like 3 leagues here in North America, in the States. So the league was formed to help guys stay in, so they didn't have to go overseas if they wanted to stay here at home, and also where they could get development so they can move on to the G League. I'm the only coach. I've been with the TBL this is going on year 5.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm the only coach that's had players. I had 2 players go to the NBA from my squad.
Mm-hmm.
My first one was Kevin Young that played at Kansas when I was coaching here at the Kansas City Tornadoes. Got called up to Golden State. And then this year, I was the head coach down at Enid, Oklahoma with the Enid Outlaws. And I had a kid from Oklahoma State, Lindy Waters, that called like right at the end of the season. He was one of my best players too, got called up to the Oklahoma Thunder. Mm-hmm. Now, I was really happy for him because that's what it's all about.
But you were sad.
But I was sad because it was right. We're in the playoffs,
mm-hmm.
and I need my player, So I'm happy for him. But that's what the league is about: is trying to get guys to get overseas so they can get contracts overseas,
mm-hmm.
and so they can make a little more money and get some exposure, and then also so they can work on their craft. And that's why I always tell my players, like especially like this year, I said it's a reason why you're here with me. And you're not, because most of the guys think I should be in the NBA and that they're good at being in the NBA and all that stuff. And some of them were good, college players, But I always remind them, it's the reason why you're not in the NBA because either maybe skills, attitude, character, or your work ethic is something that you need to work on so you can get to that next level. So I got my MVP of the league this year, Chance Comanche, played at University of Arizona, 6'11". Will probably be in the NBA probably maybe next year.
Mm-hmm.
He's over in Turkey right now, but he had an outstanding year because he had got hurt. He actually went hardship, went early entry into the draft. I think 2017, 18, something like that. Got hurt, so he needed this league to kind of get back.
Do you talk to your players about getting hurt and that preparing for normal life?
Mm-hmm. All the time.
Do they see that?
I talk to them just like I talk to my daughters who were Division I volleyball players. But I always talk to them about you have to prepare yourself for life after sports because this don't last long.
Comparatively, it don't last long.
No, it only take you just an injury away from being behind a desk somewhere,
An injury, a scandal, whatever.
And with this social media stuff, it's crazy. I'm glad I didn't.
What do you tell your players about that?
I tell them we really tell them to try to tone it down because some of the stuff they put on there, I'm like, dude.
Do you know are you really trying to go here?
Yeah, because people look at that. I mean, like other teams from overseas, they look at that stuff. They don't want to see you up here smoking weed and cussing and calling.
All right, hold it. This is what I want to say to you. Now that you said that, what do you think about my boy Paul Pierce? He's my man.
I ain't really too familiar with what has happened.
When I say all right. How he got fired from ESPN and what have you. I thought, and when I say he's my man, I never followed him in basketball, but just what he's doing, I think there's a wrong perception by the general public that these pro players, they're making all these millions and this and that, but they still under somebody's thumb, and he did that, I felt, because he started talking about the salary that ESPN was paying him was pittance, and he really didn't even need that job. They wanted him to talk about LeBron.
Yeah.
All right, so because I'm in media, most of our people don't understand. We were just talking about how short that span is. All they see is the big names, and they've been in the league. But there's guys be on them teams for a year or two, and bam.
Yeah, there's a lot.
That's what I'm alluding to.
Yeah, there's a lot of players like that. Like, cause I grew up in the NBA because my brother played in the NBA, and I knew like guys coming through the Kings maybe there for maybe a couple months, and then they were gone, or they were some guys who was at different teams every single year. So that thing was just trying to, and that's why we try to tell guys now that I coach when they're on the team, because they be fussing about playing time and everything. I said, it's dudes on the NBA they just happy to sit on the bench. Because they getting paid. They just trying to keep a job. And and they just do their role. Whether they maybe play defense, rebound, be a cheerleader.
Do you teach that also, that role play? Because the more I'm getting into what these coaches are doing and what the mental part of the actual athlete, they have to really be in the frame of mind. I'm only a chess piece, and if I'm a knight, I'm supposed to do what a knight do. If I'm a pawn, and that's my role.
It's for this generation is hard because it's all about me.
All right,
This is the entitlement generation. It's like when I was coming up, we did whatever it takes just to be on the team, and the coach wanted us to play defense, or he wanted us to rebound, or he wanted us to pass, or whatever it may be. That's what I did. What we do. This generation is all about me. What can you do for me? And I had to fight that this year. I mean, my team this year finished 30-3, the best ever in the TBL. 30-3. We only lost 3 games, 2 in the regular season, 1 in the playoffs, and 1 the chip. But it was so hard because I had to make guys buy into the system, like buy into team, not into me. Because I told them, like, if we do well, then everybody's gonna do well. So it was a process. But once they kind of start seeing the big picture of it, everything, then they started kind of buying into it.
Fall in line.
But it was hard though. It's a continuous teaching and preaching to them about the team aspect, because it's like the musketeer, one for all for one, and that's true. It's like, because everybody got to do their part for us to make this machine run well.
So now, my understanding that you moving on to another team, to coach another team. Talk about that.
Yeah, I just took a position in Meria, Mexico, the professional league down the CIBA and it's on the Gulf. And the
Yucatan Peninsula.
Yeah,
I've been
Yucatan,
there.
yeah. So it's the capital of the Yucatan, and they have in Mexico they got different regions in their professional league. So you win that region, then you go play another region to be the champion in Mexico. So I just took over this. I'm taking over, which I'm actually leaving in a few days to go coach there. I haven't seen my team. I've heard about them. I have 3 guys on my team that played in the Olympics on the Mexican national team. One of them that has played against LeBron and Kobe, and so he's been there a while. So I have a pretty good team, and a big team. I probably have one of the biggest teams there. So I'm really looking forward. Because it's actually a challenge. It's a different country. There's going to be a language barrier a little bit. Most of my guys are bilingual, so
all I need to know is Dame Nueve Pesos. Pesos, baby.
Yeah, and the pay is not too bad. And I'm going to a really nice city. I'm looking forward to it. My wife is going to come down after a while, after I first get down there and check everything out. She'll be down there a couple of weeks after me.
Well, what I'm going to ask you to do, because we are internet based, once you get situated, do some Zoom interviews with some of your players, give them some exposure, and keep track of what you're doing in your professional career. Being from the area and being that Coach Moore is one of the people you run around with, and he's here. It was a plum pleasure having you on the show to talk about basketball in general, talking about you and what your accomplishments, but just in general, I think that we don't have enough coverage of where you're speaking in your own voice and it's not edited, and you giving an inside view of your era and who you are and what have you. Before we get off the air, what were some of the challenges working at that district, Kansas City School District?
Man.
Yeah. And I know one doesn't want to talk about certain things.
No,
but
I'll talk about it.
Yeah, because
I'll talk about it because I feel like I need to talk about it.
That's what. Oh, great. Yeah.
Because I was a teacher and a coach in the district before I took over that position.
I didn't know that you was a teacher.
Yeah, I was a teacher at Northeast High School and a coach at Northeast High School.
Boo is there now.
Yeah. So when I took over the athletic director, I knew what the district needed, as far as sports. And in fact, me and my wife were talking about the other day, because in KCK, when we would come up through school, we had good coaching, we had good facilities. I mean, we had full schedules, so I remember, because we went to church over in Kansas City, Missouri. Mm-hmm. So I remember when we would come over to church, everybody, like people in my Sunday school class, they were always on strike in Kansas City, Missouri. They never was in school. And I remember, this is not to put people down.
It is what it is,
but
man.
I remember being in Sunday school class, and my aunt was my Sunday school teacher, and she would always call on me to read all the time. And I was like, damn. I said, Aunt Marguerite, why are you always calling me to read all the time? She said, baby, you're the only one that can read. So it's like they were always behind us in KCK, just because it was always issues going on over here. So when I took over as athletic director, all I wanted to do was give because for me it was all about the kids. Mm-hmm. Giving the kids opportunity in the same platform as everybody else is in like KCK or in Blue Valley or Blue Springs, Lee Summit. I wanted the kids to have the same opportunity that everybody else had. So, I mean, we're just right across the river, KCK. So I basically trying to give them doing the same thing we kind of did over there.
You already had a blueprint.
Yeah. So I just like trying to give them nice, create nice facilities for them. We try to renovate that field house to make it really look nice. And then two, I wanted the kids, Metro Sports was always covered, like, they never even covered KCK, but they always covered, Blue Springs, Lee Summit, never.
That's how I
Valley.
started my company. But, and I started doing all KCMO teams and stuff, but since '08, we've done probably 500 games and interviews, and they never did an advertisement with us.
So Metro Sports, so I had some, contact with Metro Sports, and so like my thing was like, I want to get my kids on Metro Sports,
right.
Like just everybody else. So we started doing stuff at the field house, the big games and stuff like that. I started promoting them and stuff and everything, and that's what mainly I wanted to do. And then I wanted to have nice facilities. And I wanted the kids to have nice uniforms.
Right.
And then when I first took over, some schools didn't even have full schedules. I mean, so kids were only playing like half a schedule. So I went in and told like the other ADs, everybody has to have full schedule, and not just basketball but football, all the sports.
The sports.
Everybody, and then I started promoting clinics, and I promoted coaching, like kind of coaching in service kind of stuff, and I would pay for all my coaches to go to clinics, so they could get better, so coaching development. So that's all like there I was trying to do, but the thing is with that, you always fight change. People fighting change. So some people are like, and this is crazy to say, but because I was from Kansas, people didn't like me because I was from Kansas. Don't bring that. Why you bring that Kansas boy over here to take that Duke, Missouri stuff? We don't want that over there. You come over here changing stuff and all
That's that
stuff.
battle of these.
Yeah. So that's
crazy.
That's stuff I dealt with, and then so it was like I always would say, it was always about the kids.
I felt Kansas City School District has a revolving door of coaches and staff, and not just from your era. It continues, and you can't have winning teams when every other year you have a different coach.
So what I try to do is get good quality coaches over here when I was here that had been
But you got to pay them.
Yeah, that was successful, and that could teach our kids and stuff and everything. But like you said, it starts at the top. When you got when I was AD for those 2.5 years, I had like 4 superintendents in those 2 years.
Right.
So like,
what did I say? A revolving door.
Yeah.
When I was trying to get business with them, see the communications, it was a different and they have a different outlook on what they're doing and so forth.
So during that time, that was the hardest job I've ever had. Would I ever go back and do it? Probably not, because it was like, no wonder I didn't have, I suffered a stroke in 2013. So no wonder I didn't suffer a stroke then, because that was probably every day it was something.
I know. I told you off camera when I told you I'm calling you in the middle of the night. I remember coming out of Leon's grocery store at 9 o'clock. I'm dialing you up, and you the athletic director of Kansas. What you calling me? You didn't say that. You was like, what you need? And I think I met you up there. You were getting ready to have some type of retro game, and you had them wearing the different jerseys, the old school jerseys, Southeast. It was something that was at the field house.
I mean, we started doing the Jack Bush Classic.
All right, yeah.
And so what we did was the Kansas, Missouri. So we brought schools from Kansas to play all the IL schools. And that that went off really, really well. I mean, because people really liked that, because everybody loved playing in the field house.
Right.
We fixed that mug up. I wanted it to make it really nice when the kids, because that's what we had in KCK. Like when we would go to Wyandotte or we go to Washington during those days, it was like packed. If you didn't get there for the JV game, you didn't get in.
No seat.
And I mean, it was a big thing for us. Like even when I was in junior high school, to go to a high school game, to go see Schlegel and them play, or Schlegel, Washington, or Wyandotte, Harmer, or any of them.
But that's how it was when I came here in '78 from New York, the field house. if you didn't get there early, you wasn't gonna get no seat. And back then I'm young. I'm like, hey, let's go to the club. They like, you go to the club, we going to the field house.
Yeah, so that was, the field house is a big thing, so I tried to create that back then, but it's like we used to say, fighting change, and some people didn't like it, some people did, and I did best I could, I think I did get some things done. I did, even though someone else took the credit, they got the stadium built out here on 63rd,
right.
But that was my design, and
I didn't know that.
I pushed that through, and just like the field house, that stuff, we redoing the floor and trying to get, looking really nice and everything. That's all that I tried to do to push, but it was all for the kids though. So I'm glad it got done, but sometimes hindsight, you think like, dang, man, that's how it always happens.
But hold it, you're a coach. Coaching is sometimes rewarding, but it can be thankless.
Yeah.
Because you sign up to coach, you don't sign up to spend your money on the kids. And you're not really making a lot of money, but that's, but the reward comes in when you see your product, some of your product come out.
And that's what makes me feel really good about now, being a pro coach now, but, looking back, just seeing all the players I've coached and how well they've done, and,
impacted their life.
Yeah, whether they're playing sports or just having good families and, just everything, so, it makes me feel proud when I see like guys or like my students, like some of them are like actors now, or they're businessmen doing stuff and everything and doing well off, and that's all. That's why I tell my grandkids. They like, Grandpa, like you're such a successful coach, how I live up to you. I said, son, I would tell my grandson, all I want you to do is be a productive, nice young man, and treat people well, and just be the best person you can be. I'm gonna always be proud of you. So.
Well, as we always say in closing, when you invest in your community, you're really just investing in yourself. And for all you basketball fans, we always go with Cascade Sports. We go hard in the paint, and I mean we go hard.
This program is brought to you by the City of Fountains Coaches Association.